Hello there, welcome to another video. For this one, you're going to be looking at an application I've done with Rust systems. So this app is done with Rust systems and I've added Ionic to it. So this is what we want to accomplish for this one. We want, when I click on a certain product like this, I want I can add it to the cart, and if I come to these carts here, I can see the product that I've just added to the cart. So for example, here you go. So we have this product added to the cart, and if I come back here again and I go to another product, maybe this one, I can add it to the cart and it should appear here. So we're going to do this with custom endpoints so that we can create an API that does the adding to the cart. And the way we are going to do that is by doing a few things. So like I said, this is done using Ionic and rad systems. So I've just added Ionic here. So you can check out the video on how to add this to Ionic. So what we want to do is, you see this cart at the top here. We want a way that we can show the number of items in the cart here. When I click on the button, it should update here, right? So this is just a simple example of how you can do it. However, there's different ways you can do it. You can even make this component. But yeah, so I'll show you how to add Ionic icons. So you need to go to Ion icons here, right? And you're going to click on usage and copy this script here the way it is. Then you're going to go to your rad system project, go to the source folder of your project, which is frontend public index.html. So on the index.html, you notice I have added that script here, right? Now, after you've done that, you need to go in and check this index.html page in your project settings. Just come here and do HTML and uncheck it like this so that when you publish it, it does not overwrite your code. Great. Now, this source code is going to be available for download in my Patreon. However, you're not going to be paying for it. It's just free. So I'll put the link to download it in the description below. Also, if you'd like to do or learn how to build chat applications, real-time chat applications with Rust system, there's also a video to the course down below in the descriptions. Right, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to just remove everything that I have, right? For example, I'm going to remove this, just delete this endpoint, and I will remove it from everywhere where I have created that, right? So I'm also going to remove this card and custom view, all this. So the main purpose of this video is to show you how to do this custom endpoint in a real scenario, right? So when I publish this, this should have disappeared, right? So if I come here, yes, there's no longer there. So let's go ahead and do that. So there are also some few things that I need to change. I'm going to remove that action here. Okay, publish custom JavaScript. Also remove this. Alright, there you go. Okay, publish. Alright, so we are going to do two things. We are going to create an endpoint that's supposed to be pulling the total count of items in the cart for this active user, and we are also going to create another endpoint for adding to the cart, right? So if you come to my application here, I have cart and I have products, right? So what I'm going to do is go to custom endpoints, and we want to create a new custom endpoint here. So the first custom endpoint we're going to do is it on the cart, and you're going to say get items like this, right? So get cart items, something like that, right? So what you're going to do here is you're going to say select count. So you're going to say select count, right? So you want to count how many items are going to be available in this. table, right? So now what we want to do is we're going to say select count. So we want to count everything, and you're going to say as totals, right? And you're going to say from my table called cat. Now we need to get it for the user who is currently logged in. So you're going to say where user ID is equals to param1. So this param1 we're going to change it to rec.user.id. So in rad systems, this is how we get the user of the ID of the user who is logged in, right? So we are done with that. So we are able to get this currently. So copy that link, and you're going to go to product view here. This product view is a new view page I created. I just did it this like this. So just a new view page I created, so you can do it also yourself. So inside the product view here, I'm going to come here and I'm going to create a custom view here. So by default, this column is going to be looking something like this, right? So I'm going to come here and say cut here, right? Publish. So inside the application, I should notice that now the cat is here, but we need it to maybe appear right here. So I'm going to go here and do text right, okay? So now this should go to the right side of the application. So login. So unable to establish connection would mean there's an error with our query. So let's go to custom endpoint, and it says unexpected mode reserved word. So red records. Okay, so this might be const records is equals to, let's use const records instead of let records. Unexpected token const. Okay, custom. Let's remove this. Okay, so I see what the problem is. So we're going to say let. So we need to close this. So that's where the problem is coming from. Okay, so that should fix it. So now you can log in, and there you go. You see the card is appearing at the right side, but we need to put like a margin to it. We can do margin right is going to be 4, and it should at least come in there, right? So now we can go to ion icons here, and I want to look for this one called cat or bag. Let's do bag. Yep, there you go. So you can copy this, just click on it, it will get copied, and we can come to rad systems here and just replace this with that, right? So now we should have that cut there, but now it's too small, so we're going to add a size here. We're going to say size is equals to small, and that should make it a little bit bigger than it is right now. There you go. But I think there's a way I made this size a little bit bigger here. I think I did it on app.view. Yeah, size is equals to large, so we want the size to be equals to large. Right, come here and do large. Alright, so we have that. So just the way we want it. So we're going to go to now Ionic and look for ion badge, and I'm just going to copy this ion badge like this and go to this code here and just put it right there. Okay, publish. So in our application we should have the badge there. Good. So now we need to find a way that we can add data from the badge, the custom endpoint we created, into this badge so that the items for the cart get displayed here. So we're going to go here, custom JavaScript, and we are just going to come down here and create a variable. So let's say const cart totals, right, is equals to ref. So it's going to be just an empty reactive variable. Then we want to get this function, which is supposed to be getting the data from the endpoint we created, and let's say call it cat totals, get cat totals, right? That get cat totals, right? So now here we're just going to replace it with the name of the endpoint we created, which is cat items. So copy this, come back to your custom JavaScript and paste it here. Okay, now we're going to change this variable to this variable we just created here, and it should be called cat totals. There we go. So now this should always return that value. Now inside our badge here, we need to pass that variable which will be updated, which is cat totals, because remember we have declared it here and we want it to be populated here when this function get called. Now we want this function to run when the page loads, so that it triggers every time the user comes to this page and they want to see their balance for the cat. So we're going to get this function here and you're going to put it inside the unmounted. So when you put it inside the unmounted, it means when my page loads, this particular page loads, this API call is going to be made and we are going to see the total amount of the cat here at the top. So click on OK and publish your application. So now you notice that now we get the totals there, but it's basically an array with one item. So what we are going to do is we are going to come here to our custom JavaScript, and we want, because we already know it's an array, we are going to say we only want the first item, which is of ID index 0, and you're going to say dot total, right? So when you publish this, we should only get 2 now. So if I come back here to my application and I delete one of them, I can go back here and reload this page and it should only be one item, right? So if I delete the other one, it should only be another one item here, 0 items now. There you go. Good. So we have done that. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to add to cart. So we are going to go to the custom endpoints and create a new endpoint, right? So if I go to my pages here, create a new endpoint. So I'm going to create a new endpoint and call it, but it's still going to be under the cart, and call it add to cart, like that. So we are going to delete everything here and we are going to add a record. So we're going to say insert. Okay, so we're going to say new item, just change this variable to new item, and we want to instead return here like true or false, right? So what you do now here, every item on the left side is going to be an item in the table where you want to insert to, and every item on the right side is going to be an item of what you want to insert into that particular table. Good. So the first thing you're going to do is declare some post variables, because this is not going to be a get request. You're going to change this from get to a post request. So we're going to create some variables here. We're going to say const. We need a few things that we need to insert into the cart, which is going to be the product ID, like that. Then the next thing we need to do is the user ID, but the user ID we don't really need to worry about. We'll get it from the session. We can add the quantity, like that, and that's all we need. Just need the product ID and the quantity, right? So we're going to say this is equals to rec.body. Okay, so this means these are going to be coming from the front end when the user clicks on add to cart. So what you're going to do here is we are going to enter the table fields on the cart table, which we want to populate using this data. So here we are going to add the product ID. This is coming from this table cards, and the other one will be the quantity. Remember, this is also coming from this cart table, so we don't need this. So we want to change this to now be this variable that we have here. So that it doesn't confuse you, I'm going to call it quantity. quantity, like that. So paste it there. Now this product ID, we want to paste it here, right? Okay, sorry. Prod ID, paste it there. Nice. So you can remove this comma, you don't need it. So new item. So once this has been created, we want to now reload this particular page here. So here you can return either true or false or whatever you want, but we don't really need it. You can return a true or false actually for you to work with it in the front end, but do we even need it? So I'll leave it out for now. So I can say if new item, then we can return, let's return let's dot okay true. Then we can just do, so this will only be returned if this is true. You can do an else if, so that's your homework. Go and find out how to do that in Node.js. So you do, when this fails, you return an error, maybe 200, and yeah, that's what you need to do. Okay, so click on OK, and we are done with that. So now what we need to do on the product view page, we need to create a new variable function and call this function add to cart. So we need to scroll down here and look for the post request, which is this. Copy that, and you're going to add it here. So we're going to change it to add to cart, like that. So this post data is very important that you match it with what we created on the endpoint. Now on the endpoint, we said that we are going to be expecting a variable called prod ID and another one called quantity. So it is very important that this prod ID, exactly the way you create it, appears when you're doing a post request here. So for example, we need to do exactly prod ID. We need to add it exactly like it is in the backend, and here we're going to do quantity. So the values are going to now be the prod ID here is going to be a parameter. So the first parameter we're going to do here is a prod ID. So this doesn't have to match with what is in the backend because this is just a parameter, and the quantity we're just going to do that. So it means this variable is going to be taking a parameter called prod ID there, and another one called quantity, like that. Okay, so prod ID and quantity. So what we need to now do here is we need to now put in the name of the endpoint, which is a cart, add to cart, and you can come back here and you're going to say cart add to cart. There you go. So when this has been successful, so we can do console.log, we can just do alert response.data so that we can see what it will be returning. So exactly the way it is. Now we are done with that. What we need to do now is take this function and add it in our button, right? So I'm going to go to our button, which we have here, this button, and we are going to create a click event. And it's going to be that function we created. However, we are going to replace this with the ID of this item. Because this is the view product page, we can get the product ID by doing item dot ID. Now this ID is only that my products table has a ID. So if your ID primary key is primary ID, you just replace that there. So now the quantity, normally if you're doing e-commerce, you will need to have a place where the user can select the quantity, so you can pass it here. However, for my case, it's just going to be static items. So I'm just going to say I want to order 2 items here. So when I click on publish now, we should be able to add items to our cart here, right? So if I come back here to my page, I can say add to cart, right? Then you can confirm whether it was added. So it seems like that has not worked. So in case of any issue, you could always check it out here, right? So cannot create properties of undefined reading create. Okay, so it means there's something that's amiss. So we can go back to our custom endpoint, go to add to cart, and you see where we have this table model name. It has to be the name of the table where you want to insert to, starting with a capital letter. So you want to add to cart, so you have to start with capital letter cart, right? So click on OK and publish. So now when you come back to your application, let us confirm whether this will be adding. So click on add, and there you go. So it says true, so it means that has been added to our cart. There you go. So now we have this added to the cart. So the thing we need to do now is we need to come to a custom code. Just remove this alert. So we want, when this function gets triggered, we also want to trigger this function to get the cart totals so that it gets updated in our cart page. So we're going to go to that button. You can do it on this button too, and put a semicolon and paste in your get cart totals function there. So when you click on that button, you should call two functions in parallel, and you should see this changing here. So if you click on add cart here, it should trigger it should trigger this at the top here. So user ID, so it seems like the user ID is not being added here. So remember, we had to add user ID on the cart page. So we're going to go to our custom endpoint, add to cart, and you're going to say put a comma, say user ID like this, and we want to say rec.user.id. So this will mean that we are going to get the ID of the currently logged in user. So now if we go back to our code here, and the journey we are going to do is we are going to go to this page here, and we want to come to products, right? Go to products like this. Sorry, not products, but the cart. So on the cart here, we have this list. On this, you see your orders for the cart. So, but for now, I've just put it here at the bottom. So if I come here and I click on add to cart, add here, you come here, you should find it right about here. So there are very better ways of doing this, but this is just an example I'm showing you so that you can go ahead and try it out on your own. Now the last thing I'm going to show you is this product has product ID 3, and it has we don't really know what product is just with the ID, so we need to do a join. So the join we are going to do is we are going to go to this page here, and we want to come to products, right? Go to products like this. Sorry, not products, but the cart. So on the cart here, we have this list, the list page for the cart. We want to do a join here. So I'm going to come here and we want to join it to the products. So we're going to add products there, double click. Then you want to say that product ID has to match with the product's ID there, and do an inner join, right? So when you do that, product details should appear here. Right, so now if you reload this, you should see the product name, all that description, all this. So you can just uncheck what you don't need. So for example, I need the product photos. I'm just going to add it all the way up to the top. And I don't need the created date, don't need the status. I can have the price, the discount, posted by, don't need description, no. Product name, yes, you can put it at the end here. And so it's up to you to decide how you want to design it. And there you go. So you have it there. So you can now go ahead and design this page if you like. So that's what you'll be doing when you download the file. So you go ahead and customize it the way you want. Right, so that being said, that's how you play around with custom endpoints. And yeah, so in case you have any questions, leave them in the comment section, and I will try and answer what I can. So always remember to save your project, and that will be it. See you in the next video.